Like Catholic Radio Network now presents Morning Light, an exciting, fast-paced hour that's inspiring, informative, and entertaining. And now, here are the hosts of Morning Light, Brian Howell and Hope Ryan.
Good morning, everyone listening out there. My national public radio voice.
Because Brian's been talking for 24 hours, 48 hours.
We got another one. We got another full day lined up for you. It is day 3 of our Fall Pledge Drive, and it is also a Faithful Friday edition of Morning Light. Heard across the Salt and Light Catholic Radio Network as we broadcast live from the St. Gabriel studio on this October 14th. And who do we have today?
Well, today we'll have our friends from the Society of St. Vincent de Paul with Casey L. Gazabel, their marketing manager. The coaching educator, Rebecca M. Carroll, will be joining us again. And we'll have another segment of Priscilla's Porch with Busy Shore.
Please pray for our priest, specifically today, Father John Kuchera. He is up in St. Anthony at Mary Immaculate Parish. And pray for vocations, too. This week we've been praying for Deacon Tim Siegert, who was our guest yesterday.
Yes.
Great conversation with him.
It was so great to see him. So great.
So pray for Deacon Tim as he finishes up out there at Mount Angel Seminary. And today we recognize Blessed Carlo Acutis, even though his feast day was Wednesday. We're recognizing him today. It's a whole Franciscan media thing.
He's worth several days.
I think so.
Yes.
He was a stunning example of faith in the modern world. And, of course, we have our Eucharistic miracle display here at Salt and Light Radio.
If your parish would like them, just call and ask.
Yeah, because it is beautiful. It's very informative and inspirational, and it's all because of him.
Yes.
So he's just a wonderful teen. We'll hear more about him later in the show. But right now, we're going to pray.
We are, and we're shifting away from Carlo toward Our Lady of Guadalupe, because part of the celebratory nature of the pledge drive is that everyone who pledges by calling 208-344-4774. We were talking about donation procrastination. Don't let it be you. Do it now.
The struggle is real.
Right. But when you call, you get to vote for which priest that you would like to send on a pilgrimage to Our Lady of Guadalupe.
All expenses paid.
Yeah, so we're going to ask for her blessing over this day. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Virgin of Guadalupe, patroness of unborn children, we implore your intercession for every child at risk of abortion. Help expectant parents to welcome from God the priceless gift of their child's life. Console parents who have lost that gift through abortion, and lead them to forgiveness and healing through the divine mercy of your Son. Teach us to cherish and to care for family and friends until God calls them home. Help us never to see others as burdens. Guide our public officials to defend each and every human life through just laws. Inspire us all to bring our faith into public life, to speak for those who have no voice. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, who is love and mercy itself. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen. And happy birthday to Rhonda Baines.
Happy birthday!
So we just found out about that. I wish I'd have known yesterday. I would have, because I actually got to talk to her. First time I talked to her in a while.
Isn't she awesome?
She is awesome.
Yeah.
Which is probably why her daughter's so awesome.
That's true.
And we're not just saying that because she's sitting here in the studio with us. But happy birthday to Rhonda. And let's
do it.
Kick off the show. 3 minutes after the hour. It's time for Morning Light News. 48 degrees in Boise, 46 in Twin Falls, 38 up in Grangeville. Boise police arrested a 31-year-old man who allegedly threatened and yelled a homophobic slur at 2 women and intentionally drove his car at them. Matthew Lehigh has been charged with 3 counts of felony aggravated assault. Boise police arrested him and booked him into the Ada County Jail on Wednesday after searching for him since last Saturday. Anyone with information about the suspect is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 208-343-COPS.
With the 100 deadliest days coming to a close on Labor Day, Idaho State Police shared good news regarding traffic fatalities in the Gem State. ISP Lieutenant Robert Roche told the media that there was a 17% drop in traffic deaths. This is good news since 2021 was an all-time high of 101 deaths. Most areas saw a decrease, but not in Twin Falls. The county saw an increase in fatalities, injury crashes, and DUIs from the previous year. Inattentive driving, aka using your cell phone while you're driving, is the number one cause of traffic accidents.
Yesterday, Bloomberg reported that Albertsons, the Boise-based grocery giant, is in talks with Kroger about an agreement that would be one of the biggest retail transactions in years. They're thinking about combining. Cincinnati-based Kroger owns Fred Meyer along with other supermarket chains. Although no final decisions have been made, Albertsons has over 2,200 stores in 34 U.S. states and is now the country's second largest grocer behind Kroger.
Maybe your noggin happens to be a cue ball or a chrome dome. Perhaps you are follically challenged or sport a skullet. You're not alone. Today is National Be Bald and Be Free Day. By the age of 50, half of the male population is experiencing balding. Most baldness is called by androgenetic alopecia, or common male pattern baldness. While the average person has around 100,000 hairs, we lose 50 to 100 strands a day. Even a quarter of women experience female pattern hair loss by age 49. Interesting fact, Native Americans almost never experience baldness because their scalps are less susceptible to the hormone that causes baldness. So this and more on balding can be found at unitedcareclinic.com. Traffic and weather are next.
Support for Salt and Light Radio comes from Metro Community Services. Attention low-income seniors and persons with disabilities. Are you aware of the grant Medicare Improvements for Patients and Providers Act, or MIPPA for short? Programs exist to help you pay for Medicare costs, available to all Medicare recipients. Open enrollment is October 15th through December 7th, so review your prescription drug coverage and make changes if needed. For more information, the phone number is 1-800-247-4422.
Good morning, light traffic. I have happy Friday news for you. The freeway is free and clear from stem to stern. Chinden Boulevard looks good. State Street, Eagle Road, you're going to file downtown without a problem. If you're working from home today, thank you, because everyone else's commute is quite lovely. And that's your morning light traffic.
Treasure Valley weekend weather, sunny with highs in the upper 70s, overnight lows mid-40s. Magic Valley, sunny as well with highs in the mid-70s and lows around 40 degrees. For the Camas Prairie this weekend, expect sunny skies, highs around 70, lows near 40. Right now, 39 in Caldwell at Our Lady of the Valley, 45 out in Buell at Immaculate Conception, 36 at St. Nicholas in Rupert. We're going to take a short break here, take that opportunity to make that call, be our first donation on this third and final day of our Fall Pledge Drive. 208-344-4774, 208-344-4774. Our friends from St. Vincent de Paul are on the other side of this.
Salt and Light Radio and Proximo Travel are teaming up for a pilgrimage to Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City, February 15th through the 21st of next year. The all-inclusive price is $2,999 per person and includes flights from anywhere in the United States, daily mass, 4- or 5-star hotel accommodations, guided tours, breakfast, and all dinners. A $500 deposit is due upon registering. For an itinerary of the pilgrimage and to reserve your space, please visit saltandlightradio.com. Salt and Light Radio thanks Snake River Pool and Spa for their financial support as a Beacon of Light member. They also support Sacred Heart Ranch of Idaho, providing housing, support, and unconditional love to young women during life's difficult transitions. The website is sacredheartranch.org to learn more about this powerful ministry. And let Snake River Pool and Spa make it easy to take it easy with your family. Located in Boise, Twin Falls, and Meridian, or online at thespateam.com.
Men, join Retreat Masters Dr. Ray Garendi and Father Wade Menezes for the 2022 Inland Northwest Catholic Men's Retreat. This special weekend is October 14th through the 16th at Luther Haven Camp in Coeur d'Alene. The cost is $195 for the weekend. Register now at www.inwmensretreat.org or call 208-664-1498 for more information.
9 minutes after the hour, it's a Faithful Friday edition of Morning Light. It's also the third and final day of our Fall Pledge Drive. So let's get that phone ringing, please, at 208-344-4774, 208-344-4774. On the phone, we have Casey Elgazabal. She is the marketing manager for the Society of St. Vincent de Paul of Southwest Idaho. Good morning, Casey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So this is a big time of year. We're heading into the fall. The holidays are coming. People are even pondering a little Christmas shopping. So that means the Society of St. Vincent de Paul is insanely busy. Will you give us an update on what's going on?
Yes, we are definitely in full holiday swing. It was funny because I think back in September we were talking about how we were having our Christmas toy store meetings, and we joked about how early it was, and now all of a sudden it's almost November, and I don't know where the time went, but I'm certainly glad we started talking about it in September. But yeah, we are in full holiday mode. Our Thanksgiving food box program is first on the docket on our website at svdpid.org/Thanksgiving. There is our Thanksgiving food box page where we have opportunities for support, opportunities to receive a box, donate a box. Businesses can get involved, or if a family or someone you know is going through a hard season and they need a little bit of relief this holiday, they can register to receive a box this Thanksgiving. So lots going on there.
How many people are you planning for this year, and how much has that increased from the past?
Yeah, we definitely are planning on seeing an increase this year, and we already have over 2,000 boxes registered. So we are definitely planning on seeing an increase. And what we tell people is that the deadline for registration is the 17th of November. And we really encourage people to get registered online, because what we do is on distribution day, and we actually do it for 2 days. On November 21st is the first distribution from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then on Tuesday, we do a distribution as well. And what happens is if people aren't registered and they show up to get a box, we will, have some left over, or for those that if are registered and someone doesn't come and get them. The problem is once we run out, we're out. So we really encourage people to make sure that they get that registration in, to tell their friends and family if they're going through a hard time and they need to be involved, then to get registered, because that's the best way to ensure that we'll have food and we'll have boxes for you.
So when people are shopping for Thanksgiving food boxes, what is it that they put in the box? Maybe some of our listeners have not participated before and need a little guidance.
Yes. So when you register to receive a box to donate a box on our website, once you've entered your information, we actually provide a exact breakdown of everything to put in the box, the exact cost that it will be, and suggestions for which grocers will do it at the best price for you.
Wow.
We've got you covered. Shocking.
That is so handy. So we have the turkey, the potatoes, and people wait for that awesome sale at Winco where you get your free turkey if you buy so much. I know that's what our family has done, has tried to be strategic in getting that. And you can put in extras as well. I recently had a conversation with a friend who, because of life circumstances last year, had to just write a check and just donate their box that way, which is a valid and easy option for people. But she said it just wasn't the same because she couldn't pray for this family while she shopped for them. So it's a beautiful experience.
And it's so true, Hope, because I feel like, it's one of those seasons, I think, in the holiday where we're all reminded that, every family is experiencing the holidays differently. And I could totally understand how someone might feel like writing a check wouldn't feel as impactful. And we love that people want to shop and participate, whether they're doing that through their local church or through their business or doing it independently. We do encourage people to stick to the grocery list just because they all have to fit into certain size boxes. And all of those boxes get palletized and moved to the distribution location. But if somebody had, a heart for something different, they could definitely contact our team here, and we can work with them on that. Donations are also very, very helpful, just because, again, we're feeding so many people, and we want to make sure that we have more than enough so that those people who maybe don't get registered, can have some of that overflow. But like I said, there's those opportunities to shop and provide a box or to donate financially. And then there's also the opportunity to volunteer, which a lot of people really get that heart fulfillment that way.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. And all of that, svdpid.org/Thanksgiving. are links to all of those options, to register for a box, to donate money for a box, to say, yes, I'm going to fill a box and get the list, or to make a financial donation, a volunteer donation. All of that's in one spot.
It's all in
which
one
is so
spot,
handy.
and it's so concise, so that regardless of whether you're computer savvy or not, it's very, very easy to get to. And then, of course, if you have any questions, we always make a person available. So the phone number to contact if you have any questions, concerns, is 208-559-2294. And that is our amazing Mel, who's a volunteer, who's been running this program for a very long time. And so if there are questions that aren't answered on our website, you can reach out to her, and she'll be able to help you with that. And then, of course, I can't ever skip over Christmas, because even though Thanksgiving comes first, I love Christmas. So we are in full swing for Christmas as well. I'm really excited for some of the updates that we have this year. I think, Brian, I don't know if we talked about it last time, but did we tell you guys that we're doing 2 pop-up Christmas tours this year?
I don't believe we talked about that.
Wow.
Okay.
What's a pop-up store?
Yes. So we have always, had such a heart for our community to ensure that no one is, left behind, or that someone doesn't have access. And so as per usual, we'll have our Ada County and Canyon County stores to shop from during November. Well, it starts in November 28th and runs through December 17th. But this year we have 2 pop-up locations. One is in Ontario, and the other one is in Mountain Home. And the hope and desire for that is just to stretch our reach a little further and ensure that our neighbors in need in Ontario and Mountain Home have access to amazing Christmas gifts, and that their children are, enjoying their Christmas the same as here in Ada County.
I love that. So if people are doing early shopping or making plans, what kind of toys are you looking for that you're gathering for this?
Yeah, so that's such a great question. We have such a huge need for toys across the board. We have one of our largest groups of toys that we usually struggle with is our 10 to 18. And in that category, we give the suggestions of hair dryers, curling irons, straighteners, makeup, art and drawing supplies. And then for our younger categories, if you have kids, nieces, nephews, cousins, obviously anything that your kids would enjoy, so would these kids. But Nerf guns, basketballs, footballs, headphones. We try to encourage that, $10 to $20 gift range, and ensure that, everybody's getting something of equal value. But it is going to be an amazing Christmas year for St. Vincent de Paul. We're very, very excited.
That's fantastic. Remind us of some of the stats. How many you served last year? How many you plan to serve this year?
Yeah, so we served over 4,000 kids last year, and we are hoping to increase that number. At this point, without registrations, we're not totally sure what that's going to look like. We do expect the number to increase, especially with our pop-up locations. So we'll keep you guys posted as we register, how we're seeing things come through, if we think things are going to be more than last year, or where those numbers fall. Again, the registrations will open November 21st, and that is you can do that on our website. You can register to shop the Christmas toy stores. The web address for that is svdpid.org/Christmas Toy Store. And then there is on that web page as well, it explains that you'll need to bring your ID, and it walks you through how we'll do the call center, where you can call in and register and find the closest store to you. And then as per usual, St. Vincent de Paul, we are a volunteer organization, and so there is a opportunity to volunteer to help with the Christmas toy store. All of that is also Hope all in one spot, which we love.
Excellent.
So you can register to volunteer at the call center, to work and help at the actual toy stores on that same web address. The St. Vincent de Paul or sbdpid.org/Christmas Toy Store to work the call center, volunteer at a location, or to donate.
That's so awesome. Casey, is there anything else that people should know is coming or any events with St. Vincent de Paul before we let you go?
No, I would just say, hey, stay tuned and we'll keep you posted. Watch our social medias and our website and get involved. We need all the help we can during the holiday season.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Casey.
Heck yeah, you guys have a great morning.
All right, you too. God bless.
Thank you.
As we go to break, we would encourage you to make that phone call. Today we have a goal of $2,500. This is the third and final day, and we know that those goals are just going to keep going up, up, up as the day progresses.
As Brian's voice goes down, down, down.
Thank you. Yes, very low. If you're listening on FM, don't turn me up too loud. I might blow out your speakers as you drive to work or school today. So you've been warned. 208-344-4774, the number to call. 208-344-4774. Back with Rebecca M. Carroll, the coaching educator, right after this short break.
Daily Meditations of Pope Benedict XVI, presented by Leonardo D. Philippus of St. Luke Productions.
The truth about lying. Whenever there is a loss of fidelity to the transcendent order, whenever countless people are forced to endure intolerable injustices and inequalities, how can we hope that the good of peace will be realized? St. Augustine describes peace as that tranquility of order. By this he meant a situation which ultimately enables the truth about man to be fully respected and realized. Who and what, then, can prevent the coming of peace? Sacred Scripture in the book of Genesis points to the lie told at the very beginning of history by the animal with a forked tongue, whom the evangelist John calls the father of lies. Lying is linked to the tragedy of sin and its perverse consequences, which continue to have devastating effects on the lives of individuals and nations. We need but think of the events of the past century, when aberrant ideological and political systems willfully twisted the truth and brought about the exploitation and murder of an appalling number of men and women, wiping out entire families and communities. How can we fail to be seriously concerned about lies in our own time? Any authentic search for peace must begin with the realization that the problem of truth and untruth is the concern of every man and woman. It is decisive for the peaceful future of our planet.
This meditation is taken from Benedictus, published by Ignatius Press and Magnificat, and produced by St. Luke Productions. Learn more at stlukeproductions.com.
23 minutes after the hour, we have some folks we want to thank from yesterday. Roger and Diane up in Emmett. They say they love Chef Lou and Catholic Answers, and a shout out to Father Barron. Not sure if Bishop Barron listens to the show.
But he should.
Yes, he should.
He should.
Every time he's in Boise, he listens to Morning Light. We had an anonymous pledge
Passing through on his way to Wyoming.
from Homedale, also Paul and Lynette in Star, and
Thank
Cindy
you.
in Boise. That's how we rounded out yesterday. But
Thank
today
you so much.
is the third and final day, and we have a $2,500 goal, and we're still waiting for that first phone call.
We just
208.
need the first call.
You got your first donation.
I do,
Yes.
right here.
Thank you.
It's like
Yes.
you're in person in front of him, and he still doesn't see you. Help us, help.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Rebecca M. Carroll, the coaching educator, joining us now in the studio, talking about the application process
Yes.
and some mistakes that you're seeing. Was it the parents or the students that they're making?
Well, if the parents are filling out those applications,
Who goes
that's
under the
big
bus?
mistake.
Yeah.
No, I just like to always give an update and a lot about the essays. So first off, Idaho schools, most of them do not require an essay. However, the state schools, I should clarify that. However, you can use, so the University of Idaho is on the Common App, and I would recommend you send your application in without using the Common App essay, so that if you are choosing to do the honors program, you can then use it for the honors for the honors program.
What
that
is a
essay.
Common App for those
So
of
the
us who don't
Common
know?
App is a common application.
So just all the state schools are under a single application?
No. No. That's why I said the University of Idaho is on the Common App.
Okay.
The other schools are not. They choose, many schools have their own. They don't require an essay. However, the same with Boise State. If you want to get into their honors program, then you need to have a certain GPA or a certain score, and then you need to write an essay. So the essay writing this year, I know it's challenging because we've had 2 years of online school. So there's a lot of structural issues with essays this year. And also, how do I say it? Because I don't want to say the L word, but children are used to their phone correcting their spelling. And so adults are too.
And spelling is a skill. If people assume
Yeah.
that spelling and reading are connected, they are, but loosely. Spelling is a different skill, a different function of the brain than reading. Because I have parents ask me, they're like, well, but my child just reads off the chart. It's like, well, that's nice, but that doesn't mean they can spell. They're just
But
two
can they
different
spell chart?
functions.
Right. Well, and just to make sure that you're not handing in an essay with a lot of errors is basically it. The essay is challenging. If any college is asking for essays or smaller essays, like Hillsdale has 3 or 4 essays that you have to write, and it's limited. So it might say 500 characters, not words, or 250 characters.
So it's like a
not
paragraph.
words. Short paragraph.
Wow.
So what I'm seeing a lot of this year is a lot of advice giving, which we call preaching to the choir. That is not what they want. They want a snapshot of you and what's important, whatever they're asking. And the prompts for the Common App and the Coalition are very similar. And frankly, a lot of kids do not have a barrier to education. They just don't. Not like some maybe inner city kids, or some people do. But you have to write for 650 words on it. So it's important that you, if you're going to choose that essay, you need to be able to choose it. And they're looking for, if you have a barrier, how are you resolving it? How are you working out of that barrier? And that's the key to writing that really good essay, but not to give advice. So tell your story and use it like you're telling a story. That's the best thing I can say to you, and be descriptive. And most of these kids have grown up with Harry Potter, so that's that's actually, if Stephen King and the Harry Potter books are very descriptive. So you want to have that kind of description so that someone, describe it more and get them into the story. So obviously, if you have a 250 character essay, that's a challenge. You're not going to do that in that particular position when they're asking for a very short answer. It generally means you have to do a little soul searching, or you have to research. A big one is, why us? So the colleges really want to know. And it can't be because I've heard you have a great, and I see this a lot.
You have a nice climbing wall.
Yeah, I heard, I heard your academics are good, you're a good college. That's not what they're looking for. You really need to be researching into the potential major that you're thinking of. You need to be looking at what the classes are, and you need to be looking at, the college in itself and maybe the clubs that you're interested in. But you need to do a little research. It's not a quick, and the challenging part is a lot of kids are applying for college, a lot more than it used to be. So I've heard this the other day where a parent's like, I want him to do 1 a day. Well, that's not how it works. They really shouldn't be applying. Unless you're in the top of the class, you really shouldn't be applying to more than 10.
Which feels like a lot.
It is
and
a
you've
lot.
said that several times, and I think, Because in my, back
You
in the
might
Stone
have-
Age, I applied to
yeah.
3, and that was a lot of work to apply
And
for
you
3.
might have 3 that are on the Common App and 2 that aren't. And then I would hope you would follow up with, once you get an acceptance, looking at all their scholarships that you may or may not qualify for. So these are really important things. But those essays now, and don't fall into the trap of, well, we recommend you submit your scores, but you don't have to. Well, take and I guess this is for juniors, plan on taking your SAT or ACT at least twice. Plan on studying for it and getting that higher grade, and plan on getting it in, because what they're trying to do is open the door for people who have a barrier. My kids who I work with from Washington State, the whole state was closed down.
Mm-hmm.
There were literally, it was very hard to find a place that was giving an SAT. That's a barrier.
Right.
And there's a little spot to write that. There were I had to fly or go to another state, which obviously not every student can fly. They just can't afford it. So those are the kinds of barriers there. Not that, I just don't really even want to take it. And I came across another. So the PSAT students just took. I just came across an incident where a school was basically saying, it's not important to take it in their junior year. So the PSAT is a great way to practice for what a standardized test feels like. It's a great place if you need extended time, or if you have a 504 or an educational plan. And even if you don't, if you're a homeschooling student who has ADHD or has been diagnosed with it, can I say that? Diagnosed with it, not just, I think he's
Right. Just mom
please.
labeled.
Don't. So it's important that you can have time and a half. So you kind of get that feel in 10th grade. 11th grade is the important one to take, especially if you're a strong test taker or a strong student. And the reason why is it's associated with the National Merit Scholarships. Mm-hmm. That's important. And some schools, full tuition. Others, it's like Gonzaga, 2,000,
Right. You can go buy a book and 3 pencils. Away you go.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That was worth that studying. So somehow it's not translating to students, and probably because it's the first time they're hearing about it. But yes, it's important that you get used to the testing. And then you take your junior and senior year. And yes, colleges do like to see it twice unless you have a perfect score. If you don't have a perfect score, great. But, for an ACT, 29 and up. For an SAT, especially and I'm not a strong test taker with those kinds of tests, but a lot of kids are. And what they're stuck on is they know the material, but you have the pace. And if you don't study and how they frame the question, and that's pretty much what you're doing, is trying to move fast, look at the questions, and figure out and get used to how they're framing it. So it's important. It's important to do those things. So check to make sure you're capitalizing the first part of the sentence. When you have to fill out your senior classes, or if you are attending a college that requires you to, even though they're getting your transcript, to fill out the courses that you've taken. Yes, you can include any course in middle school that qualified for a high school course. So put that on, just stick it in 9th grade. Yes, you need to put it exactly how it looks on your transcript. So if they just use an H for honors or accelerated ACC, they want to write it out exactly how it's on your transcript. I don't know why. I don't make the rules. It might be a test. And, these are kind of the things that you really need to be doing and looking at. You need to ask your parents for their real name because some kids don't actually know it.
Mom, Dad.
Wow.
When they ask you to sign something, you actually use your full name. So if you have a middle name, you use your full name. When you ask a teacher for a reference, it would be important to have a resume together. So on resume, the school you go to, leadership first, community service second, work third. If you've never done any community service, then you can't put it in.
Right. Then start today.
Right. Well, no. I mean, what are you going to do? If you're applying already as a senior, it's too late.
Too late.
Yeah, so it's not
Too late.
start today. It's start in 9th grade,
Right.
10th grade, things like that. I mean, it's
Sure.
important. So it's important, and it doesn't mean junior year, second half of the year, you start panicking and joining 10 different clubs. Just join one club and do something meaningful. I had a kid do the Christmas event that St. Vincent de Paul does, and he loved it, and he's going to do it again.
Oh,
So,
neat.
do that every year.
Uh-huh.
And so those are kind of the things, themes, and people say, well, how much community service? If you're looking for a scholarship, you're talking more than 300. Okay?
300 hours.
Well, your daughter was well over
Yeah.
in a year or in their high
Over
school
the
career?
high
over
school.
the course of their high school,
Okay,
which
okay.
you're in high school once you graduate from 8th grade. So you have the whole summer. So you can fulfill this stuff, but waiting till senior year when you're filling out applications and you haven't really done anything. So it's
That's a great
important
point.
to also look at that internship program. Again,
I talk about it a lot in my house.
you
I'm like,
do
"You're
not
6 months
need
away."
to go to a 4-year college. I mean, there's so many opportunities. I actually had a student who connected with me who wants to learn. He wants to make clothes. He wants to make, like skateboarding clothes. And so he's getting hooked up with someone who's a tailor so that he can start his internship and move to working with material that's heavier, learning how to sew on the bigger machines and things like that. So it's a really interesting program.
Wow.
And, maybe in a couple years, it makes sense that he would do an internship program, develop a portfolio, and then if he feels like getting more experience or learning more at a college level, he can. But if not, he could probably continue and just design and it's marketing that he really has to understand.
Yeah.
So it's important. This is the time. It doesn't help to just say, get these done. There's a lot to it, a lot more to it. You need to know what your parents' degrees are, if they went to college, when they got their degrees. Many of the applications ask that. I still do not like people putting their social security number on their applications until you decide where you want to go. You're going to put it on your FAFSA, you have to. And the school will get your social security number. So I just am not a big fan of, 10 different colleges having all your information, birth date and everything else. So it's important to do those pieces. If you can't write a decent essay in your college, just because the prompts it's hard. It's older I could write to every single one of them, but when I was younger, probably not. You can use a former paper. Now, most of the papers in junior year were longer if you actually wrote one. So what you do is, especially if you were in AP Lit, and even if you weren't, there's a lot of courses that you wrote a paper that you're proud of. And that you and it doesn't matter the grade because they give grades like candy, but you really like it. So you have to, obviously you want to cut it down and reshape it, but feel free to do that. They're just looking at the level you're able to write at. So you don't have to worry about the subject matter. And so I would encourage kids who are really struggling with getting 650 words out of the barrier, and some kids can do that because they actually have a barrier, but use a former paper, not a 9th or 10th grade paper, a former paper. So it's important. So those are the tips that I'm seeing just from some problematic stuff this year.
Great
Excellent.
tips. Wow.
All right, thecoachingeducator.com. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you
stuff.
for being our first donor.
There you
Morning
go.
Light
Thank you.
Start
on
the
Friday.
day.
Hooray.
Thank you very, very, very much.
208-344-4774. We're 60 seconds away from news, traffic, and weather.
Sultan Light Radio and Proximo Travel are teaming up for a pilgrimage to Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City, February 15th to the 21st of next year. The all-inclusive price is $2,999 per person and includes flights from anywhere in the United States, daily mass, 4- or 5-star hotel accommodations, guided tours, breakfast, and all dinners. A $500 deposit is due upon registering. For an itinerary of the pilgrimage and to reserve your space, please visit saltandlightradio.com. Support for Sultan Light Radio comes from Beacon of Light member Treasure Valley's Home Team.
Have you been thinking about making your move to another home? If you also want to support those who don't have the basics of human needs in Cité Soleil, Haiti, then make your best move with your local team, Treasure Valley's Home Team, who has proudly founded the Kizito Family Haiti USA, and we are serving the poorest of the poor in Haiti.
Treasure Valley's Home Team is owned by Marie Fitzgerald, MBA, and licensed with Coldwell Banker.
19 minutes away from the hour. Time now for Morning Light News. 48 degrees in Boise, 44 in Twin Falls, 38 in Grangeville. On Wednesday, an official with the U.S. Department of Energy said that a nuclear waste treatment plant in eastern Idaho designed to treat 900,000 gallons of sodium-bearing radioactive waste that has had numerous setbacks will likely start operating in early December. The Energy Department is paying fines to Idaho for missing a deadline to convert the liquid waste into solid material, as stipulated in a 1995 agreement that was the culmination of a series of federal lawsuits.
It is wildlife migration season. The Department of Fish and Game remind drivers that wildlife are moving to their winter ranges, and that often includes why the deer cross the road. Early evening is the most dangerous time. Use bright lights or high beams if possible and drive cautiously. Animals dart out quickly, so if you're driving on a known migration route, just slow down. Additionally, don't feed the wildlife near your home or they may stick around all winter.
An Ada County man will spend 3 years on probation and pay a $1,500 fine for voting illegally. Illegal voting is a felony, and registering to vote fraudulently is a misdemeanor. 70-year-old Charles Skiles voted on November 3rd of 2020, but was on probation at that time and was prohibited from voting according to Idaho law. The crime was discovered by the Ada County Elections Office during a review in 2021. Voting crimes are not common, but Ada County Clerk Phil McGrain expressed his gratitude for the elections officials who caught that error.
The U.S. Forest Service, National Forest Foundation, Sun Valley Company, and numerous volunteers gathered with satchels full of saplings and ascended Bald Mountain, which is appropriate on Be Bald and Be Free Day. I didn't even do that on purpose. 1,000 lodgepole pine seedlings were planted on the mountain as a fire prevention measure in union with the Bald Mountain Stewardship Project. The project is one of many striving to meet a national goal of planting 50 million trees in the next 5 years. Traffic and weather are next.
Sultan Light Radio thanks Beacon of Light member Capital City Heating and Cooling for their support. With over 50 years of combined experience, they're dedicated to providing efficient solutions for your family's home comfort. Clients are treated with integrity, and it shows. From the high ratings and recommendations on Google and Yelp for customer satisfaction. Located at 420 North Curtis Road in Boise, the phone number for Capital City Heating and Cooling is 208-345-4115, and the website capitalcityheating.com.
Traffic. Good morning, light traffic. Good news. The freeway looks pretty good. Just the tiniest bit of slowing when you're trying to merge onto the freeway throughout Meridian. But once you get on, you're going to get up to speed without a problem. Chinden Boulevard slow at the county line as usual. Lots of construction there where 16 connects to Chinden. I drove through it the other day, understanding why it's slow there, because it's kind of tight, and if you're in the wrong lane because the turn lane is one way, and if you're not in it, or if you want to be in it, you're sort of stuck. So please be careful as you're making your way. That's your morning light traffic.
Treasure Valley weekend weather, sunny with highs in the upper 70s, overnight lows mid-40s. Magic Valley, sunny as well, highs mid-70s, and lows right around 40 degrees. For the Camas Prairie this weekend, sunny skies, Highs around 70, lows in the upper 30s. Right now it's 39 in Napa at St. Paul's. It's also 39 out in Fruitland this morning at Corpus Christi, and in Jerome, 42 degrees at St. Jerome's. We'll take a short break to learn more about our saint of the day when we return a best of Priscilla's Porch with Busy Shore.
This is Franciscan Media.
And go.
This is Franciscan Media's Saint of the Day for October 14th. Today, we celebrate Blessed Carlo Acutis. Though Carlo's wealthy parents had their son baptized soon after his birth in 1991, they were not particularly religious. Carlo's questions about faith prompted them to arrange for him to make his first communion at age 7. The boy became a frequent communicant, making a point of praying before the tabernacle, before or after every Mass. At school in Milan, Carlo comforted friends whose parents were undergoing divorce and defended disabled students from bullies. Considered a computer geek by some, Carlo spent 4 years creating a website dedicated to cataloging every reported Eucharistic miracle around the world. But he also enjoyed films, soccer, and playing video games. Diagnosed with leukemia, Carlo offered his sufferings to God for the intentions of the Pope and the entire Church. He died in 2006 and was buried in Assisi. Many of his childhood friends were present in 2020 to witness Carlo's beatification at Assisi's Basilica of St. Francis. There's more about the saints, along with inspiration and Catholic resources, at our website, saintoftheday.org. From Franciscan Media, this has been Saint of the Day.
Priscilla's Porch is a new weekly segment on Morning Light aimed at Catholic women and the feminine genius that was given to them by God. Grab a rocking chair and a cup of tea as we share stories, wisdom, and faith. And now, the hostess with heaps of hospitality, Busy Shore.
Busy a little under the weather this morning, so we'll pray for quick healing for her.
Absolutely.
So we do have a best of lined up for you. During this Priscilla's Porch best of, if we would just encourage you to please pick up the phone and call 208-344-4774. Sort of going through our list of who we're going to be talking with after the show's over. We'll welcome in St. Mary's, and then later we'll have St. Therese, St. Nicholas, and then OLV, Our Lady of the Valley, and Toby Green. Deacon Toby's going to come in at 11 o'clock and help me out. I appreciate the assist.
The voice lift.
Yes, this afternoon, Risen Christ. We'll have a couple of hours with them. Then we'll head back up onto the Camas Prairie and wrap up the day, of course, with St. John's Cathedral. So that is who we're going to be talking about on this third and final day.
What a full day
of the Fall Pledge Drive.
So many incredible stories. Stand Firm is the theme, and we have heard incredible stories and diverse all over the place of opportunities to stand firm, challenges in standing firm, just so much good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you have to call 208-344-4774. I know many of you, because I'm here in the afternoon, are like, why am I hearing your voice and not Catholic Answers or Dr. David Anders? And so we come to you 6 days out of the whole year. 3 in the spring, 3 in the fall, just to ask you to support so we can keep Catholic Answers here, so we can keep Dr. David Anders, all of your favorite people that you tune in to listen to. So please give 208-344-4774 or saltandlightradio.com.
So if you aren't familiar, veiling is the very feminine practice of, and exclusively feminine practice, of covering your head with a hat or cloth, especially while at a church or as Catholics in the presence of the Holy Eucharist, which would be Mass or adoration. It's a sacramental, so it's not an article of faith that you have to sign on for if you want to be a, quote, good Catholic. It's just a good, helpful thing. So today this is going to be a two-parter. So today's going to be kind of our little intro of my story of veiling and what a veil is and a little bit of history, and going to go over some misconceptions. And then, yay, Hope has one. Hope just pulled out a lovely little black one. Unfortunately, I drive a different car on Fridays, so I keep my veils in my car.
Right on, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and so I don't have any with me today.
No, it's
but
all good.
Right we're radio, cute. So there you go.
We planned that.
Yeah, so and
Air
then
quoting.
Next week, I'm going to go a deeper dive into what the veil means. and sort of the symbols behind it and some other stuff. So,
Great.
so what is a veil? What is this? So it can be anything that covers a woman's head, as we were talking about, like in church. So it could be a hat. It is usually a fabric, so like a scarf or a shawl could work. But most commonly, it's made of lace, and it's a little piece of fabric. It can be like an infinity shape. It can be a triangle. It can be a great big shawl. It can be, so there's like, I mean, if you go look at the, shops to buy a veil, there's like so many different styles and kinds and whatnot.
Right. Or you go to the traditional Latin Mass and you can see
Yes, all the variety. Yes.
Yeah.
But the veil is something that holds a special meaning. Like if you're just like, I'm cold, I'm putting something over my head, that's not a veil. Sorry. But it has to hold something that holds a special meaning. It has a symbol. There's a significance or purpose behind it, particularly for the women wearing it. And colors don't really matter unless you are meeting the Pope and you are not a Catholic monarch. So if you're like the Queen of Spain, then you can wear a white one. Otherwise, you have to wear a black one. Yes. That's the only time in which it is actually prescribed what color you must wear. Traditionally, and there's not a whole lot of definition around like what traditionally means in this context, but it is understood that traditionally married women wore a black veil and unmarried women would wear a white veil. However, that it's not really a strict guideline, and so today you'll see you can get veils in all kinds of different colors, and women will wear kind of whatever color they feel like, whatever they happen to have. What goes with their outfits that they wear most often to church.
Liturgical colors,
yes,
blue
liturgical
on Marian
colors.
feast days.
Yes, and I have a blue one for Marian feast days, and yes. So yeah, there's lots of freedom in it these days. So veiling actually is something that is very special for me because it was actually a key step in my journey to becoming Catholic. So way back, right after we moved here to Idaho, my husband and I had some very, very good friends back in Washington that we had to leave behind. It's so sad. And right about the time we moved out here, they decided to become Russian Orthodox. And so we were sending lots of messages, emails about this journey of theirs, and we went back to be part of their induction into the Orthodox Church, and it's a perfect move for them. It's great. We love it. I love talking with her about all of these, theology things from both sides. And so she shared me this link, sent me this link of this, like a live, I think it was like a live journal kind of thing back in the day, of this woman sort of facetiously talking about the real struggle of veiling and the deep soul divining decision, French lace or Spanish lace. And
oh my.
And then once you have your veil, like you're so excited, and then you go to adoration to wear your veil, and then you feel guilty because you only went to wear your veil because it's pretty, and then you're like, no, but it's supposed to be about Jesus. And I read this thing, and on the one hand, it was really humorous and it was very adorable. This person was not poking fun at it, really. But the biggest thing was it set this light bulb off in my head, like, people still do things like this? And I realized, I have a deep, deep love for all of the sort of literature and culture from like the medieval period, the Renaissance, even back through, the Dark Ages, all of this stuff. And a lot of the things that really drew me to that period is how steeped things were in faith, which of course I couldn't articulate at the time, but that the entire culture throughout Europe was faithful. I mean, that Christendom is a term that exists for a reason. But a lot of it was things were so steeped in faith that every single little thing you did came back to a faith reason. And so it was things like everyone carried rosaries around. Everyone knew priests and monks that were a deep part of their life. Going to church so regularly, everyone could hear the church bells, pilgrimages, fasting, and feasts of, oh my gosh, the people would mark their calendar by, saints' feast days rather than it's not, what is it, the 28th of September, it's Michaelmas. You never say the 28th of September. It's always just Michaelmas. And like,
right.
What?
The Wednesday after Easter.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that. And so one of the things that always struck me as beautiful, that was just part of the tapestry of this time period, is women veiling in church. And these, paintings and images you have all through this period of women going to Mass in these, lovely, beautiful veils. I'm like, oh, that's very lovely. And then I read this article and I'm like, wait, but people still do that? Like you can be part of a group where that's like a thing you can own now? I want to think about that. And so it was like this actual like opening of the door of the respect for the Catholic Church turning into like an opportunity for me to explore. So that's really cool. So that's part of why I love veiling and do it a lot. So I want to do a quick overview of the history of veiling. I'm going to go pretty fast. So it's kind of a carryover from Judaism and a lot of those Middle Eastern cultures where it was just common practice for women to cover their heads like all the time. And then it became common practice for most of Catholic history. And part of that was cultural, but also, St. Paul does talk about it. And it was actually required in the 1917 Code of Canon Law. So it was a common enough practice that in the 1917 code, it actually says, and it's Canon 1262, that women should cover their heads in church, but men don't have to. And it wasn't until the new canon was released in 1983 that the requirement actually went away. The 1983 canon actually says this is not an article of faith. It doesn't need to be addressed in canon law. It's, we're not dealing with that. So neither Vatican II nor the 1983 code, make this a requirement. However, the practice fell off drastically after Vatican II when it was assumed, incidentally an incorrect assumption, that the requirement had been lifted.
So just on the list of a bazillion incorrect assumptions coming out of Vatican II.
So Vatican II did not actually take away the requirement. It wasn't until the 1983 canon change. But yeah, it pretty much just stopped almost overnight after Vatican II, which was really sad. And so you just had little pockets here and there that would keep it going. But it's coming back, and I love it. And it's so exciting, and it's especially coming back with younger women, I feel, roughly millennial age. I know you're a little older than that, Hope.
Sure, but we're at Verbum Spe, and we see that in the younger generation.
And as you said, if you go to the Latin Mass, which are they still every second Sunday?
I'll be honest, I've been twice. So
you do. It's beautiful, and I love it. It's just really far. It's out in Nampa.
Because being a convert, and I've only been Catholic for 20 plus years, but when I go back 20 years ago, they were like unicorns. If you saw one, and usually it was down at the cathedral. And so now, like you said, there's just so many more people. So do you just that's because people are learning more about it? Maybe there's some teaching going on?
I think a lot of it is that the veil is a distinctly feminine thing that is beautiful, and a lot of women are realizing, again, how misguided and kind of destructive a lot of society's ideas about women are, and how a lot of the ideas of the last several decades have been, and how much was thrown out with the bathwater. And wait, this was a good thing and it's lovely. Let's bring it back. So I'll get a little more into that, I think, next week. I'm going to quick go through some misconceptions, because there are some things a lot of people are like, I'm never doing that because X. So the first thing, which I'm actually jumping ahead because it was the last thing on my list, is I actually had someone come up to me after a time that I was lecturing and I wore a veil, which is the real time that if you are women, if you really are going to veil, if you are doing anything serving up and around the altar, you really should. But someone came up to me and said, I love your veil, but I'm not holy enough to wear a veil. And I say, okay, that is not at all. Are you holy enough to pray the rosary? No. Are you holy enough to go to Mass? No. Are you holy enough to receive the Eucharist? No. None of us are holy enough for anything at all. We're not even holy enough to go receive reconciliation. But none of this is about our holiness. None of it at all. It's about the disposition of our heart and opening ourselves to receive the grace of God. We talk about women as the icon of receptivity, and part of that is the recognition that we're going to receive the thing that's offered to us even when we don't deserve it. And that's what we bring to the entire Christian faith, is we receive the grace of God and his mercy in all things, and all the invitations to grow in faith even when we don't deserve them. Your holiness has nothing to do with whether or not you wear the veil. Do you want to honor God and honor the femininity that he blessed you with, and be visually that icon of receptivity and of the relationship between humanity and Christ? Wear a veil. That's where that comes from. So another major misconception is that the veil means that you are submissive to a man's authority, especially if you're married, that, this is showing that I'm submissive to my husband. No. The veil is about submission to God's authority and accepting his authority over your life. My veil has nothing to do with my husband, except in the capacity that it's pretty and he likes it, and that it is a reminder to me and also to him that I, and by extension he is my husband, am under God's authority. I'm under God's authority, and Because of that, I am to an extent under my husband's authority, but as my husband, he is under God's authority.
Right.
Not just
biblically.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. And not just that Trey is under God's authority himself as a son of God and as a faithful Catholic. Trey is also under God's authority as my husband. And he is accountable for all of his part in all of our interactions. That's what the veil symbolizes as far as that relationship with men. Another one is that, it's about purity, and which kind of makes, purity, modesty, chastity, which kind of makes sense because for a long time, and even still today, the veil is kind of a symbol of like consecrated virgins or, nuns and sisters. We call it, they take the veil. And so that kind of makes sense, but there's a conflation of that with purity culture. If you're not familiar with the term, purity culture is something that really has come up over it's all through history, but especially the last several decades of this overinflated emphasis on a woman's sexual purity and chastity that to a degree that is unhealthy. But I say this is a misconception because it makes the veil about you and a statement you're making about yourself. And also that's just a terrible reason to wear the veil. The veil is supposed to be a statement about God and your relationship with God, and just embracing, as I said, that being the icon of receptivity and of the feminine, divine mystery that God gives us. So I think we're just about out of time, so I might pause it there for today. Okay. All right, more next week.
That wraps up Faithful Friday. Go to saltandlightradio.com, click the Morning Light page, hit podcast if you missed any of today's programs or previous shows.
Watch us live on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Questions, comments, prayer intentions, particularly when you call 208-344-4774. Let us know how we can pray for you. We have a chapel here, and we would love to place your intentions at the feet of Christ. Send us an email as well, morninglight@saltandlightradio.com. Thank you to Casey Elgazabal, Rebecca M. Carroll, and Busy Shore.
Join us next time. Mario DeCino will be part of our Passionately Pro-Life segment. Tim Zedzora providing financial fitness, and we'll chat with Randy McCormick, the new principal at St. Joseph's School.
So join us for a marvelous Monday, but more importantly, give us a call, 208-344-4774. Blessed Carlo Acutis,
Pray for us.